Hello, everyone. I'm Colin Tessier of WrestleZone.com. We're joined by John Clark tonight to talk about WWE NXT 2.0. John, how you doing? And happy birthday. It's John's birthday, folks. We talked about it last night. Of course, it's John's birthday. A very happy birthday to John Clark here tonight. How you doing on your birthday, John?
Doing pretty good, and of course tonight, for once, it wasn't wasn't a bad show like it had been in recent weeks, but it was like a mix because it was like half of main roster talent that we saw tonight. There was like five of them, so that was definitely unique.
The second the show ended, I was just like, huh, NXT was actually pretty good. And we talked about it last week, like they're making some progress. But for me to say that it's actually it was a fairly good show. There were some things I didn't love, but by and large, I don't have much to really complain about. There were some things, but overall, this was the first time I can really come out of the show feeling like, hey, it's a pretty good show tonight. Some well wishes to you, John, on your birthday, Nesha and Stephen both chiming in there. And that is good. Necessarily, it was not a bad show. And then again, I would say it was even fairly good, especially by NXT 2.0 standards. So John and I were talking before on the air, and I'm just like feeling a little frazzled because they went super. They was very hectic, very chaotic. They announced like several matches for Stand Deliver. The last two like were pretty much back to back, the very tail on the show. So we definitely have a fairly good sense of what the card will be for Stand Deliver. That is just over 2 weeks away. I guess technically just under 3 weeks away now. More birthday wishes for John. So no, we have a fairly good idea of what that card will look like, and pretty much, this is what we were expecting. All the titles being on the line. One unexpected addition, at least so far. One match that was teased but not confirmed yet. Lots of stuff to dig into, obviously. So I guess we can work backwards. So. Well, forwards and backwards at the same time. The show started with Miz TV. Miz TV with former WWE champion The Miz, which was inherently weird. I can't recall The Miz ever being on NXT. If he ever has, it's definitely been a long time. I mean NXT in this iteration. I know he was one of the pros on NXT season 1 way back when, literally 12 years ago. Ironically, he was Dan O'Brien's pro. Little fun fact for you. So other than that, I really can't remember him being on NXT. So that made it feel a little noteworthy in itself. He'll hosting NXT, hosting Miz TV on NXT with the NXT champion Dolph Ziggler, who won the title last week. So that's a very weird sense. If you pause and say Miz and Ziggler on NXT in 2022, pretty weird in itself. Pretty standard thing here. And then unexpectedly, LA Knight comes out. LA Knight comes to the ring, and he sets up a title match for the main event of this show. So even like at the start of right off the bat, I'm like, hey, pretty cool opening segment. LA Knight, good promo, got me sold. I was like, cool, I'm into it. Dolph said like, oh, I only face superstars, kid, and LA Knight said, oh, I'm a megastar. I can be Night of the week. The Miz actually put him over and said like, you're great. You're going to be like the next big thing, essentially, just not yet. So he kind of like softened the blow a little bit and actually made Knight feel like a big deal. Second stage for our main event. Now, they also showed some security footage of Braun Breaker showing up, being mad, wanting to find Dolph Ziggler. He could not. He was asked to leave earlier in the night. This sets up later in the show. He's back. And then I thought for a split second, John, I thought they were going to do a title change and have Knight win and have Breaker and Ziggler as a rematch without the title. Didn't happen. Ziggler wound up being a Knight win. I thought it was a very fun main event. And then Breaker came out after the match to set up for the official rematch, Breaker and Ziggler for Stand Deliver. Lots to dig into, and that in itself, John, what do you think about what we saw regarding the NXT Championship tonight?
So the opening segment was good, like you said, with Miz putting over LA Knight. He was a star in the ring. He looked like he fit perfectly in place. I think he's ready to come up to the main roster at this point. He has the experience outside of NXT. So I wouldn't necessarily call him an NXT 1.0 original, but basically anybody that was a big deal before they came to NXT, I consider to be pretty much the old version of NXT because they don't really bring them in anymore. So it was nice to see kind of that promotion there from a veteran there. And then as far as, the impromptu title match, I thought for them to do something like that could mean that maybe Ziggler was a transitional champion because you don't want basically LA Knight to beat Braun Breaker. So if they wanted to somehow put the title on him, that would have been the way to do it. Of course, that's not ended up what happening. It was good to see LA Knight really selling that rib injury throughout the main event match tonight. The effects from last week's match, which he lost, and then of course he got title match tonight. So I saw some people noting that. I guess it makes sense. The end was pretty good. I thought when they panned to the back that Breaker was pulling into the parking lot. I'm like, he's gonna come out, he's gonna screw over Dolph, and then LA Knight's gonna win, and we're gonna do whatever. But of course, that's not what happened. Not necessarily a clean win, but kind of a clean win for Dolph there. I mean, he got the pin. So what we go now to another rematch between Breaker and Ziggler. This is pretty obvious, I think, that Breaker's going to win the main event of NXT Stand Deliver and regain the championship. So it's going to be a good match. They've already proven in the triple threat last week that they have what it takes. They've confirmed 5 matches, like just tonight. I mean, we already knew 1, but now we know 5 matches for Takeover, and 3 of them, or actually 4 of them, are championship matches. And then, of course, we got the other match we'll talk about here that's a singles match. And if they want to add a women's tag match, which I feel like maybe they will, that would be their 6 matches to probably complete the card, which is interesting because then it really comes down to who takes the last. Well, we know 2 of the last 3 spots that will be taken next week for the North American Championship, which is only going to leave 1 spot left. And then you have people such as Cameron Grimes that might not be on the card. We might as well, since I said Cameron Grimes, we might as well. He had a qualifying match tonight. He didn't win, so that's why I said he might be left off the card. And the fact that I mean, me and you discussed this last week, where would Escobar get this spot or would Grimes get the spot? And it was kind of a mixed bag here. Who would get that? Maybe, I don't know. I think they made the right choice, but I've seen people maybe leaning the other way. Where do you stand?
I mean, it was interesting because this was a very good match. I liked it a lot. It was hard to predict because I thought really both guys should be in the match in the first place. So to put them against each other was, to me, interesting. And then, as you mentioned, then it would seem to indicate that one of them won't be on the card. And again, I think they both deserve to be on that card. So that's a little weird. In a general sense, that's just saying to the mood needs to happen, at least for Cameron Grimes to kind of really get some more wins here, some more success here. And he lost here. He lost Santos Escobar. Again, a good match. Both guys look great. But at the end of the day, Santos won. It's also interesting to note because this did set up eventually, at least, I guess, technically the third main roster guy to come on to NXT tonight, at least this week. We saw Rey Mysterio, of all people, and Dominic too. Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio were on NXT tonight. They confronted Santos and Legado del Fantasma, setting up a match with Dominic and Raul Mendoza. Good match. Johnny, you tweeted about it throughout the show. Every main roster guy got a huge reaction. But there was nothing funnier than Dominic getting this big pop. The crowd was chanting for him. Like, they didn't really care who it was. They're just like, hey, main roster guy. And
Yep.
they cheered for whoever it was. And they chanted his name. I just think it did feel like they would have cheered for anybody. Felt a little funny to me. Admittedly, Dominic, I've said it before, and now we literally saw it. He feels more natural in NXT. I've said it before, I think he kind of should have been there in the first place, but I digress. Steven agreeing as well. But I mean, at the very least, this is a fun crossover thing again, just like the Ziggler Breaker thing. During the match, Rey Mysterio punched Santos Escobar in the face, and so then I was like, are they going to do a match there? I mean, Santos did qualify for the ladder match to Stand Deliver, so then I'm like, are we going to see Rey wrestle on NXT next week or something? Because obviously Rey also has match WrestleMania, so they're both busy that weekend. So I'm kind of thinking or wondering if we'll see something there. But interesting to have kind of this multifaceted storyline of okay, Santos qualified, and now he's doing this thing with Rey. I don't quite know where it will go. Could you see Rey potentially facing Santos? Let's say either next, they announced it yet, but maybe the following week on NXT, the go home show.
Maybe. I think it could be either way. I don't see a case why they would need to do that, but maybe they just, I don't know. Maybe they just want more exposure for him. maybe they, like people have been saying, they're just doing this to get a desperation boost, which I don't think is the case, but I can't prove that, so who knows?
Eddie's on board with it, saying give me Ray versus Santos. And I've said many times on the show alone that I'm a big fan of Santos, and I agree with Brian saying that Escobar reminds him so much of a young Eddie Guerrero. I mean, there's definitely a lot of comparisons there, and I think any incentive to do this match would be, Santos is great in the ring. There would definitely be a way, even if he doesn't win, to be in there where Rey Mysterio would definitely be good for him to kind of get that exposure. And I would agree with Nash just saying that he's definitely one of those guys I like to see move up at some point soon. We got some more comments about LA Knight before as well, about it's time for him to move up. Now he's got charisma and everything, and Eddie's in that as well. I agree. Hopefully he fares better than Butch, formerly known as Pete Dunne, because I think LA Knight definitely could be a big star on the main roster. And Pete Dunne could as well, but the Butch thing was definitely a little rough. But no, it is interesting, to think about how this match might go. We had DJ pointing out that we have 2 more qualifying matches next week. A-Kid, who newly debuted this week on NXT Prime, he's been doing a lot of great stuff over in NXT UK. He'll be facing Grayson Waller next week in one qualifying match, and there's also Solo Sikoa versus Roderick Strong. Those are both qualifying matches for next week, so starting to see how that match might take shape. Feels like a pretty safe bet that Grayson's going to win that match. When they first announced that A-Kid will move on to a qualifying match, I'll say, oh, maybe he's got a shot to be in the match. But that was like Grayson Waller. They've been pushing Grayson Waller very strong for a couple months now. So I feel like he'll be in that match, and probably Solo as well. It might be like a 2.0 showcase, if anything. But we did see A-Kid have a match with Kushida here. It was a very good match. I liked it, but I would agree, in a general sense, like Steven's saying that Kushida deserves better. We talked about it last week. Neither of us really knew much about A-Kid going in. Based on this kind of first outing here, what do you think about A-Kid and the fact that he has a chance to qualify for the ladder match at Stand Deliver?
I think he will. I thought that Kushida losing tonight, I mean, it was whatever. His momentum hasn't been the best recently. I haven't seen A-Kid really ever before, so I think he still does have some work to do to get over with a fresh audience, because a lot of these people don't know him. I don't think that's going to be a problem for him, but it was a promising start tonight.
And some of the viewers are agreeing as well. We've got Brian saying he has watched a lot of A-Kid, and that A-Kid is a submission machine. DJ saying A-Kid impressed him tonight. What a DDT that it broke out in the match. And Ness just saying that she loves A-Kid in general. So definitely seeing some support for him. And yeah, it does feel like the fact that they brought it up now, they're going to have him in this qualifying match, even though, I mean, again, I kind of gravitated toward, it's Grayson Waller, he'll be in the match. But I think there's a chance. I think, my gut instinct was, they'll probably put him in the match to kind of give him that spotlight there. So it's good. We've talked about it before. I think now we know that Pete Dunne has been called up, at least in some capacity. We were talking about LA Knight a minute ago, of like maybe he'll get called up at some point soon. So they definitely need to kind of counteract that by bringing new people on, and a guy like A-Kid, who has kind of at least a track record of success over on NXT UK, who has a name over there in a general sense. It's a pretty good thing to do. I know we've talked about it before, but even with these names, I mean, Grayson Waller, like maybe if he qualifies, but I don't see anybody, at least that we've seen so far, dethroning Kamal Hayes at Stand Deliver. But I think it'll be a very good match. I mean, I can't really think of anybody I could really see beating him for the title right now. Again, either that's been announced for these qualifying matches or really anybody else at this point.
Absolutely, yeah. It should be interesting because they've been doing a pretty good job recently of making things unpredictable.
Yeah, and that's always good. It's good when you don't exactly know or have like a strong feeling of what's going to happen. Like I really know what's going to happen. Like there's every chance that they could do a title change, and then whatever that means for Carmelo Hayes or Braun Breaker, whatever it might mean, they do have some options. That is very good. And that's overall saying she's still mad that Grace Waller is a heel. I mean, he plays the part very well. He's very, as a character, he's very hateable. Like, he's doing very well. The matches have been very good. I enjoyed that last standing match with LA Knight there. So, but kind of like I just mentioned a minute ago, Steven's saying Waller probably is the only real threat to Hayes at this point, given how much he's been pushed at this point. So yeah, I would say if he does qualify, I would say he's kind of a maybe like a dark horse in a way, even though a dark horse and a favorite at the same time, if that makes sense. So Definitely look forward to that one. We can see who's going to be qualifying there. Potentially for that final spot, we've had one little tease of an LA Knight Gunther or Walter feud here, with Gunther saying that Knight's an embarrassment and Knight saying that Gunther doesn't have any charisma. Seemingly kind of setting the stage for some kind of feud there, and that'd be interesting. I mean, I think I'd watch LA Knight pretty much in any feud at this point. Yeah, I think he's very, very, very entertaining. If he's going to be on NXT for now, I think that'd be a good feud for him to help Walter or Gunther get a little more established here. We got a direct question here from DJ, moving over to the women's division here. DJ saying, John, we need to know, are you on the Cora Jade bandwagon yet? Do you see her beating Mandy Rose to Stand Deliver? They did confirm that match for Stand Deliver. And also, they announced, or Cora announced that Raquel Gonzalez will be out of action for 4 to 6 weeks due to toxic attraction attack last week, but they did announce the title match there. So what are you thinking there? Are you feeling the Cora Jade hype yet? And if so, or if not, do you think she has a chance at Stand Deliver?
I think she will win at Stand and Deliver. I think that Raquel will not be involved. I wouldn't think. I'm not necessarily on the bandwagon, though. I'm not necessarily a huge fan. I just think that's the direction they're going in. Mandy has kind of reinvented herself, done, I think, what she needed to do. A couple months ago, they said, they didn't think that Cora Jade was ready yet. I would assume by what they have been implying, I think they're ready for this. They're ready for the next step. So I think that's what they're going to do. But like I said, she had it coming, man. What happened to her today? She had it coming. Like, how could you not see that? First of all, you lock somebody in a cage, and then you lock somebody in a dumpster, and then you try to steal somebody's car. Like, come on now. I thought she had it coming. That's just what I think.
This is one of the few problems, like kind of start to finish, I had with the whole show. So we had, or when the show Cora, she announced that Raquel was out injured. Fine, makes sense. Whether, assuming it's a storyline injury or whatever, fine, that's whatever. And then all 3 NXT Women's Championships happen to be hung up nearby. The NXT Women's Championship for Mandy Rose and both of the tag title belts were on this pole essentially nearby, just waiting there for Cora to steal. And I was like, what sense does that make? Why are the titles just lying there? Why would they not be with the champions? That immediately took me out of it. And then on paper, I'm okay with the idea of using them as bait, as she did, and trapping Cora and Gigi, and as you said, a dumpster in a cage. On paper, that's fine. But the way she did it, and she was trash talking them, and at one point, Gigi was in the dumpster, and she was like, "Oh, did you say something? I can't hear you." I was like, I just wasn't feeling it. I know we've got many people in the comments here who are very seem to be very passionate fans of hers and rooting for her. I've seen plenty of support for her just on Twitter and social media in general, and I respect that. That's fine. I'm not really feeling it at this point, and I've been a big fan of Mandy Rose's reign here so far. So I cannot say that I'm rooting for Mandy to lose or for Cora Jade to win as Stand Deliver here. And that's just saying Cora better beat Mandy. We've got Craig Backlund saying Cora Jade next champion here. I don't. But on the flip side, Steven saying no one's beating Mandy. Brian saying Cora is a mix of AJ Lee and Paige. She's got talent. I think she's got talent, but I don't know. I liked her better kind of earlier on. And the more we've seen of her kind of in this character, and the more she's gotten pushed, it's kind of been counterintuitive of I'm just kind of just not feeling it so far. And that's not to say that I can't come around and that they can't fix it or whatever, but so far not so good. DJ saying something's wrong. John agrees with them and I don't. Well, that's what happens. Well, we all have our own takes, our own cups of tea, if you will. But I don't know. I just thought this was maybe I was so appalled by the odd choice to have the titles just conveniently nearby. I just took me out from the start. Eddie asked him the question: do we think that she's ready to be the NXT champion right now, or should they hold off because she will win the title eventually? I mean, they've already been holding off. I can't even deny that. She got one shot at New Year's Eve. That was in January. So in a way, as you said, they do kind of. It does feel like they're kind of gravitating toward this direction. And do I think that it's the right time? No, I think traditionally I like kind of pushing someone pretty strongly and then make it very clear, not to say to make it obvious, but push them, book them strongly, pick up some wins, kind of give the indication that's where you're going, and they did that. But then Cora and Raquel lost the Women's Dusty Cup, so like that's not the best look there. So that's all. Like I think she could have been booked a little more strong. But Herman's saying that Cora's his favorite on NXT, bar none, at least in the women's division here, saying that she also reminds him of Paige there. So definitely good names to be compared with, and I think there's some truth in that. But overall for the titles here, Steven's saying he sees Mandy retaining, but Toxic Attraction will lose the titles, presumably to Kai Chu, Wendy Chu, and Dakota Kai, I guess. But we also that actually that's unofficial. They have not won the Women's Dusty Cup. We know that they'll be facing Io Shirai and Kaylee Ray at some point soon. When? We're not quite sure yet. But a question from DJ saying, does Mandy go back to main roster if she loses? If so, does she bring Jeezy and JC with her, or do they split them up? I think they could be pretty good on the main roster. There's not really anything like that right now. We've talked about it pretty much every show we do here. The women's division needs more depth. What better way than to bring up 3 very talented people at the same time? I'd be pretty on board with that.
Yeah, I can't complain. I think it would be a good idea as well. No, I don't think that's going to happen, of course. I honestly could see I don't know, but if you want to keep all 3 of them together, then maybe, but I just don't see it happening that way.
I think that's fair. I think either way will be good in a general sense. Even if they don't, stay together, I would say the main roster does need more women's teams, obviously. So maybe they get caught up as a team either way, and that's what DT's playing out as well there. I don't know. I still think there's some legs to this where they could still have Mandy featured, maybe even kind of temporarily trying to get her title back, but then maybe you move her up to the main roster at some point in the not too distant future. But very similar comparison or similar questioning or idea for Legado del Fantasma from Steven Chambers here, saying you could call up Santos and the tag team, and again they need more men's tag teams as well, or you could just call him up by himself, and I think that'd be perfectly fine as well. So yeah, I think either stable, they're doing good things in NXT, they could go to the main roster, but at this point, it feels more like, they might go for someone like they already got Pete Dunne, but maybe an LA Knight, and then kind of work the way down in that sense. But Santos has been there for a while, so maybe he'll be at the top of the list. Same with Mandy. I imagine she'll probably go back eventually, but it's interesting. They had brief vignettes for the Women's Dusty Cup here. They had Wendy Chu and Dakota Kai with a brief message. Same with Io and Kaylee Ray. I don't remember them announcing when the match will be, but other than them, and that's just saying that Casey and Caden need to be tag team champions, and that's kind of what I said last week. I was surprised they lost in the first place, and I hope they get the title soon here. So, any thoughts on who might dethrone Toxic Attraction as the tag team champions at least?
Oh boy, I don't think we can answer that because I don't think that team is together right now.
Okay.
I don't know who it's going to be.
Okay.
I just think that it's nobody that's already a team right now.
I think that's fair. Again, they definitely need more depth in the women's tag division all across the board. So maybe they'll need some more talent here. I definitely agree that based on what they do have right now, I could see it being Kaylee Ray and Io Shirai, just given that's kind of like a dream team in that sense of like 2 former women's champions. Like at least that would kind of make sense in a way. But at the same time, DJ's saying Wendy and Dakota could be it. So maybe they'll kind of ride the hot hand, if you will. For whatever reason, people seem to like Wendy Chu, and I respectively don't feel the same way. But if you're into it, that's cool. And maybe getting a title will help her progress as a character. I don't know. But yeah, I would probably agree. Like I don't see anybody as an absolute clear favorite. The fact that Casey and Caden lost last week, I would probably say, yeah, they'll probably form another team and go with that. We had a brief match with Tiffany Stratton and Saray. DJ was not a fan. DJ saying Stratton sucks. Saray deserves better. This enemy character is bad. I agree with 2 of those points. 2.5. 2.5. I will definitely say I think Saray deserves better. I will definitely say that this enemy character is bad. I can't say that Stratton sucks. Like, she is still very, very new, so I can't like flat out say, oh, I think she's bad. I think she's still very much just in these formative stages. So basically, they still been feuding over, there was the daddy's credit card thing, and then Stratton picked a fight with Saray. outside of that. But Stratton's been featured, attacked Saray last week. I think that was last week, whatever. Setting up this match, Saray got attacked by Stratton backstage. Stratton took her special necklace, if you want to call it, and stopped Saray from transforming into her super anime character persona. I don't know. This was, yeah.
I was going to say this was the best segment that at least Stratton has been a part of so far. She kept a high energy, and I think the rivalry is actually starting to take form in some way or the other. Now, of course, Saray deserves better than losing to amateurs, green performers, rookies, whatever you want to say. She'll get her moment. She'll get her win back in a fair fight, so she has more reason to be charged up than she was before. But man, it has not been an ideal start after they hyped her before she came to NXT. It has not been the way that people envisioned.
It's worth pointing out she has a very impressive background, just from the Japanese wrestling scene. I don't remember exactly which companies, but she was like very accomplished before she came to WWE. She was on paper a big signing, and then just the creative wasn't really there from the first place. Then she went back to Japan, then she came back, and then she got this new character. It's definitely been a journey filled with some obstacles in that sense. I would definitely agree with Steven saying that is not digging the gimmick right now, and I thought overall from the start it's not the best. I don't know why they changed it. I think they just kind of wanted to try something new because I can't even say like her previous gimmick wasn't bad. Like it was fine. Just I guess they wanted a little more of like a 2.0 character in a sense. We've talked about that before. Like most of the gimmicks are like cartoon characters in a way. So like they want something a little more defined like that, or not stereotypical, even though it kind of is, but like a little more like blatant, I guess, but I mean, we have some mixed feelings on Stratton. Steven saying Stratton's improving every week. DJ saying all Stratton does is whine to her daddy like he's her sugar daddy. I'm not saying it's a good gimmick. I'm not saying it's like it's this masterful character. I am saying it's so annoying that it could hit that level of like go away heat. And also, like, they're actually like annoying. I want to see whatever the babyface is. Like a weird in between. I don't know. It's not good. It's very cringy. You've got like Vic Joseph saying like, "Oh, I bet Daddy like that" or whatever. Like it's not good. If anything, it's if anything, it's funny, and maybe they're going for that as well. Friends show Iridian Fiero chip in and saying, "Hey friends, hey Iridian, hope you're doing well here." We're just running through what actually was a fairly good episode of NXT. We're talking about one of the less good things right now, but don't believe me. Like it actually was a pretty good show here. But what was not good was the Stratton and Saray thing. I just
what was good.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Probably not, but maybe. There was a match between Indy Hartwell and
we are. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
There was a match between Indy Hartwell and Persia Parada tonight that ended very I don't even know the correct word to use here, but
salacious, John.
Yeah, so Persia decided to go after the wedding ring of Indy Hartwell, which basically set her off to new heights here. Dexter Lumis came, and then of course Duke Hudson came, and I honestly don't even remember how the match ended. I think Indy won on a roll up. I think
so. Yeah.
And then of course after the match, it's like I don't even know like if kissing war is like a thing. That's what it was. Like you had Indy and Dexter like making out, then you had Persia and Duke making out, and then you had like basically them trying to they were one was trying to be more intense than the other. So eventually like Indy jumped on Dexter like to the ground, like on top of him, and they're like kissing and making out, and then Persia gets on him, and then they're both on the ground, they're both making out, the camera like pans out, and they're both just like doing their thing on the ground, and Wade Barrett's going nuts. Like he was like, yeah, this is good. And then Vic was like, what is going on? So anyway, basically it was a makeup competition that there was no like winner or anything like that. Nobody like I don't even know where this is gonna go. There's gonna be a mixed tag match. I don't know if it's gonna be next week. It's not gonna be at the pay-per-view, so it would have to be some point within the next 2 weeks. I don't necessarily know where this is going, like what the point of this was. Yes, Nesha, you are right. I thought, um, I can handle Index now if this is the kind of like they're gonna feud, or I don't even know if this is a feud against another team like this where Dexter hasn't necessarily been utilized as much as he probably should be in recent weeks. The match was not the highlight of this. This segment clearly was the highlight here. They're fighting like sisters, just trying to take the spotlight. Like they're not like I don't think there's a genuine breakup coming. I think it's just like a bump in the road where they're fighting and they're eventually going to get over it. But what did you think of this whole thing?
It was you mentioned like like it's like they're kind of fighting and not like breaking up. At first, like last week, it felt like they're breaking up. This week, they entered together as a team, despite the facing in a singles match. So like that did kind of seem to suggest it's kind of like a passing argument. It's like they're beefing right now, but it's going to be okay. They're not like ready to explode at each other and like never gonna be friends again. So I kind of like that little wrinkle. Like overall, like Index is all like the Index mythos, if you will, has always like told kind of different stories, like or not always, like right, they did do the wedding, but they actually went a different way of like they actually did the wedding and the honeymoon. They didn't do the usual wedding gets ruined, the couple breaks up or whatever. It's they're storytelling and I like it. So again, kind of a different wrinkle of having them enter together here. The match, yeah, no, like I remember now. It was a roll up. Dexter kind of popped up under the ring apron, just distracted Duke, distracted Persia, and that kind of helps Indy win the match there. Talk about maximizing your minutes. Dexter Lumis is on the show like 30 seconds tops every like minute. It feels like once a month at this point, which is very unfortunate. I'm a big fan of him. I want to see him every week. I think he's great. But when he's on, this man like always just like steals the show, even just 30 seconds. If you remember back in, I think it was September when they did then they had the honeymoon thing, and there was the iconic screen grab of him holding up the like this massive like string of condoms, and he's giving the thumbs up to Johnny Gargano. All-time moment in NXT. I love that so much. And tonight, and admittedly, far and away like not as good as that, but still made me laugh very much. During that steamy makeout session, he just pops a thumbs up. I just thought that was hilarious. I was like, oh man, like it's fun. Like it's not like, yeah, you could say, oh, this isn't wrestling. I'm like, well, it's NXT 2.0. They're not like it's entertainment, right? Sports entertainment. We all know that's what we're doing here. So I thought that this was very funny, and that's just saying Dexter sells sex with his mannerisms and it's funny.
What about Wade Barrett?
I miss
his reactions, like just the fact that he was like all for it, he was like loving it, and
yeah,
Vic Joseph was just like, "What are you talking about?"
they have a
Like,
very fun dynamic.
and
I
not to
think
mention, like I know DJ also commented this as well. Like they were talking about how the opponents just trotted down to the ring together, side by side, like, "Hey, let's go settle this here," and then you know, I guess Persia took it to a new level there when she, took it more personal than I guess Indy wanted it to be. But
yeah.
yeah,
It was fun. This was fun. Whatever changes have happened to NXT, there's still this. I still enjoy it very much. Whenever day that it ends, I will be pretty upset because I've enjoyed the ride all along. And this was just another fun chapter to it. Eddie's saying the winner, whatever the end game here is, Eddie's saying the end game could be the winner gets to have like an Edge and Lita live sex celebration. We practically got one tonight in a very TV 14 way, or borderline TV 14 PG.
not yet. We might get there though.
I don't know. They're already teasing out with Carmelo and Corey Graves over on Raw. So if they do that, I feel like that it might be that instead. I think they might kind of load up the go home show for NXT. That like I don't think they would put this mixed tag team match because I think that is where it's going. I don't think that'll be on the pre-show. I think they might want to kind of, in a way, put that on the go home show to kind of load up the card there and do that. I don't know. They could do it on the pre-show, and like not that would be insulting, but like it deserves a spot. Like I think that could be a main event match, depending what that card might look like. But I thought this was fun. I'm liking it. Dexter Lumis is the MVP. I like it. I like him very much. I think he's great. But yeah, I mean, DJ saying the losing team could break up. Those are some stakes. They haven't like really, really kind of sold the indie, no, the Persia and Duke thing yet. If they kind of like spice that up a little bit more, maybe, I don't know, maybe really cement that in the next week or two. I think that could definitely. I mean, they could already do that now, but I'm saying if they really kind of make that more interesting, I think that might be a good way to do that. But speaking of things that have been a featured part of NXT for quite a while, John, we had a very emotional promo from one Tommaso Ciampa. So it was right before a commercial. They panned to Ciampa backstage, and they very, very vaguely said, "Oh, Ciampa's going to address the NXT universe. We've been hearing he's got something on his mind all day." He comes to the ring, cuts an emotional promo, and right away, I'm getting vibes like it felt like very much I'm leaving NXT promo. He looked back on his journey to NXT, DIY, Johnny Gargano, all of the ups and downs, injuries. He recalled having to relinquish the NXT Championship. I think that was 3 years ago. Now time flies. Long, winding journey, ups and downs, highs and lows. Absolute, face of NXT. Looked back on it all, and then he said, I don't know where to go from here, because then the fans are chanting, "Please don't go, please don't go." I'm like, is he going to go? Obviously, he's already been on Raw, so we're already getting some tease he might be going to Raw. And he pointed out he's never left. He has always been on NXT. So then he's saying like he's been wondering what he wants, his own perfect fairy tale ending. And at that point, I was like, it almost seemed like almost a little retirement tease, and I don't know that. I'm saying just the way he was talking, but again, maybe a retirement of his NXT self in a way. So saying all that, he said honestly that he didn't really know, but he wanted to take a moment to thank the fans. That was just really emotional, man. Like, as someone I've been a big fan of Ciampa for years now. He's just at this point especially, he's the face of NXT, so that really touched me as a fan. Like, they thank the fans are thanking him. This great moment. And Tony D'Angelo ruins the whole thing, comes out and challenges them to a match at Stand Deliver. And at first, it seems cool. It's cool. He's like, "Hey, I could have attacked you, but I respect you. But I want to be the man. How do I be the man? I want to beat you. So let's have that Stand Deliver." Very above board here. And then they shake hands, and D'Angelo attacks him, gives him an Italian kiss on the cheek. It's kind of like a gangster thing. And the match was then confirmed for Stand Deliver. It's going to be happening. So Ciampa will be on the card, seemingly for the send-off, as Brian's saying. It does kind of feel like a send-off here. And again, several comments saying that it feels like it'll be the last match. What John's making a hand? What?
Making the letter A. This was an A segment.
Yes,
this match makes a lot of sense as a follow-up of Tony D'Angelo sending Butch off to the main roster, and now looks like sending. I guess his name would still have to be Tommaso, because he's already used that name on the main roster. So I think it's safe to say to send Tommaso to the main roster as well. I was genuinely like thinking, like, is he done? Like, is he like leaving the company like completely? And I'll tell you what also, and I know I'm probably grasping at straws here, but a part of me thought for just maybe a second that Johnny Gargano was going to come out and they were going to have a match. And I was like, are they going to do that? But of course, that was probably, it seems like that was running through your head too.
For 1 second, I was like, holy.
Yeah.
Johnny
Yeah,
Gargano's here.
I really thought that was going to happen, but of course not. He even brought up how much he appreciated the fans booing him, and then the fans proceeded to boo him again, and he loved that. And then I think he's going to lose. I mean, there's nothing else to it. Tony's probably going to win. And then I guess the main roster call up, I hope anyway, or unless he's leaving. But there's been no word on his contract. I don't think he'll be renamed, as Eddie suggests. Nesha is asking if I'm going to be at NXT Stand and Deliver. I will be. I did decide that I am going to Stand and Deliver, so I will be at every single event all over the weekend. I'll be at SmackDown, Hall of Fame, NXT, WrestleMania Night 1, WrestleMania Night 2, and Monday Night Raw. So about 7 events over the course of 3 days. Or 4 days. Yeah, 4 days. I'll be at all of them. So
that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. Especially you got to consider this is going to be on WrestleMania Saturday. So NXT is going to be Eastern time. It would be from 1 until about 3:30, we think. And then you got to get down to WrestleMania for 7 or 8 or whatever it is. I think it's 7 for the pre-show until about 11:30. So it's about 7.5 to 8 hours of show that day. So that'll be interesting. Yeah, I will probably be worn out, like Brian suggests. The most I've ever done in a weekend before was going to just NXT Takeover, Hall of Fame, and WrestleMania, which was only one night back in New York.
Okay.
So that would have been just Friday, Saturday, Sunday back then. But that was only a Hall of Fame, and then of course NXT, and then WrestleMania. So this is going to be definitely a record. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, D'Angelo will win. Tommaso will get sent away. Hopefully, it's a good match. Hopefully, it's a good kind of elevation for Tony and a good send off for Tommaso. So, what more can you ask for? I mean, he has to leave at some point, so why not do it while putting somebody good over in the meantime?
Not to nitpick, but like I could ask for a little more. Like I would have wanted this to be like a good blow off match to like this really heated feud. Whereas like this is we got, I think Nash said earlier, like 18 days, which is still some time to build the story, but I don't know. It does feel like a little thrown together in a way. That'd be my only kind of like little criticism of the match itself there. But no, it's good. That presumably he will put a new guy over like that. We had Steven saying that D'Angelo needs a win. He beat Pete Dunne. He lost Pete Dunne, so he definitely does need kind of a bounce back win here. And again, what better way than to beat a former champion, and really like face of the brand at this point, always there. I like to joke about him getting renamed Larry. I don't even know. Like I was just gonna joke he's gonna get renamed Tommy and like do another gangster gimmick on the main roster or something. I don't even know. Do you just think he'll be like the new Karrion Kross Gladiator? Oh, I hope not. Like if he does move up, which does seem pretty likely now, just like I'm a little encouraged. He was on Raw. He was pretty much himself. Hopefully
Getting jobbed out.
He won. No, I remember he won the one match with a roll up, and he got beat down after the match, so like kind of a bit of a loss there. And then he and Breaker won the other match, so like he's not getting jobbed out. He's just not.
Let me ask you a question.
What's that?
Are you sick of renaming?
Oh yeah, John. The Butch thing.
No, that's good. That's good. That's a good one. I like that one. That's good. I'm serious.
You're not pulling my leg right now? Oh my John. It was named after a character from the 1950s Little Rascals.
I just think it's funny. Like who sat in a room and thought we need to repackage Pete Dunne, and somebody was like, I know, let's call him Butch. And then that's what they did. They called him Butch. So now that's his name. Like they got Gunther, they got Butch, they got
They're on a cold streak. They had Dewdrop before that. People hated that.
Veer.
Veer is like he's thriving.
Shanky.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough, man. Like I don't know what they're doing. Like I don't know. Like, they didn't need to do Pete Dunne like that. We talked about that on the SmackDown show, but on the NXT show, yeah, we've talked about him for months now. He's been on NXT doing great. He was, well, I think he was the longest reigning NXT UK champion. I think at least at one point. Great wrestler. Pete Dunne's a fine name. It has stock in itself. People know Pete Dunne. People don't know Butch. Who the hell is Butch? Like, no, that's just, yeah. Steven definitely just butchered Pete Dunne's career. Very well played there, Steven. I like that. Oh man, I don't know. No, hopefully, again, I'm encouraged at the very least. Ciampa was on the main roster, on Raw twice, actually 3 times. Like he was on commentary, and then he had 2 matches, so 3 weeks as himself. So hopefully, some semblance of logic would say, "Hey, let's just have him keep his name." But at the same time, Steven's saying he wouldn't be surprised if they have to drop his first name. I would actually no. I guess Ciampa's a little easier than Tommaso. I don't know. I have no idea how they think about these things. I can sit here and like say, oh, I think they should do that, but I really don't know. I hope they don't change it. But Nesha, well, the whole throwback here saying, yeah, speaking of the naming stuff, y'all remember Shorty G? And now we got Butch. So, but thankfully, at least Chad Gable's come around. He's doing great things in Alpha Academy. So, if you just trust the process, I guess eventually you suffer through enough Shorty G, and then things kind of work out. But oh man, yeah, I don't know. Good luck to Pete Dunne on that one. That's not a great spot to be in. They did butcher his career. I agree.
Did
But
we talk about everything we needed to talk about on the show? I think
only other thing that we like kind of I think we may have predicted it last week. They confirmed that the tag title match for Stand
yes,
Deliver three-way match with
but we
Imperium.
still don't know who the attackers were.
Do you think it was? Do you think they're trying to go for a mystery of that, or are they just kind of
No.
like, yeah?
No, I don't.
I thought for a second they were going to do like an MSK heel turn. They had the Creepos come out and they said, okay, we got attacked. We want to know. Until we know, we're going to be like beating people up. MSK came out rocking some NWO shirts in honor of the late, great Scott Hall. And then they were like, basically, it wasn't us, but hey, like you cost us the titles. So like, boo you. Like, so they're like kind of like, maybe, at least kind of showing some edge, some, little tease of a heelish character. The Creepers not like that, and then the Imperium interrupted and said, basically, well, you both suck, but we'll face it at Stand Deliver to kind of get rid of you once and for all. Also, as in addition to the shirts, Ness point out that MSK, I think what Wesley said, "Hey yo," as a reference to Scott Hall twice. So again, more nice references there. Steven's saying he thinks it's Briggs and Jensen that attacked Creeds. I mean, they're too busy worrying about online dating at this point. I don't think they're all that concerned about winning titles right now. But maybe if they want to build up a new team, I think that's one way to do it. But overall, yeah, I this will be another good match. I'm sure. I'm looking forward to it in a general sense. Brian's saying it's surprised they haven't called up MSK yet. I have to think sooner rather than later, probably. I don't see them winning for that reason. I don't think they're going to win the titles at Stand Deliver.
We need teams, though, brother. There's nobody to challenge the Usos. Although I will foreshadow a little bit. I think the Usos' time as tag champs is actually coming to an end at WrestleMania. So we'll see how that works into the Roman thing. But yeah, I think that's going to happen.
All aboard the Rick Boogs hype train, I guess. I literally blanked on his name. Oh my goodness. That seems like that's where we're going. No, you're right. The main roster does need tag teams, and that's why I think NXT will probably have to deal without MSK at some point. They're going to have to kind of get called up and help the main roster. I think they could do great things there, but that would be a loss for NXT because they have number, or right? They have like teams in number, but like quality teams, quality like characters. They've got Jack Time still there. Grizzly Young Veterans are still there, but probably going to take another loss to the Creed Brothers next week. They've got Malik Blade and Idris Anife, whose priority right now is being the assistants to Mandy Rose, pretty much. So I think it would be a loss for overall for the tag division if MSK gets called up. Not just saying she'll have MSK and Imperium, so she hopes they get called up. But yeah, I think I want them to. I'm just saying it'd be a problem for the NXT to kind of have to deal with. And Steven's saying at that point, just call Imperium up too. Like everybody, move everybody up. I don't know. I still worry about Imperium of like they don't feel like they've really gotten over in a way. It's like they have great matches and like I enjoy them, but like I don't know if I see them really translating very well right now. Not to say they can't happen, especially I think if you called up with Walter, that could be good, but I don't think they should call up MSK and Imperium in short order. I think you're going to kind of have one team be kind of the leading champions, literally, for the tag division. And it could be Imperium, so I like the idea as well. I also could point out they have 3... Yeah, I guess I don't think they officially announced yet. If they do the Raw tag title match as we were talking about last night, it seems like they are going to do RK Bro, Alpha Academy, and so the Street Profits. They officially announced the 3-way yet. They announced the RK Bro Street Profits, but that'd be kind of interesting to do 2 3-ways like that. But that's not a bad thing. I think they could. Everyone involved is talented enough to make it work either way. So, otherwise, one last question about Legato here. DJ asking if we see them doing a 6-man, potentially with we saw Briggs Jensen and Fallon Henley, they're kind of ally at this point, doing a 6-man for Stand Deliver. I don't think so. I think if there is going to be another match at Stand Over, it's going to be the mixed tag we talked about earlier. That one feels like a just put on NXT. Like they haven't really built up Briggs Jensen yet, and Henley either. Like she's kind of a newcomer. Like it does mean something to be on the card Stand Over. So I think if anything, that was on NXT, and the mixed tag will be on Stand Over. So. But yeah, I mean, they very quickly announced the bulk of the card here for Stand Deliver. It is looking like a very good show. And speaking of which, NXT itself was a pretty darn good show tonight. So, John, what do you think about NXT? We're talking a little earlier, but overall here, once we've run through it all, what do you think about tonight's episode?
7.1.
Okay.
Slightly above average for the first time in who knows how long. So hopefully they can. Well, last week I think I gave it a 7.5 dog. So tonight we're down a little bit this week, but nevertheless, if they can keep it above a 7, I'll be happy.
I'll give the show a 10 out of 10 for no Von Wagner. I'm kidding. I'm not copying the guy that much, but
no burnt toast tonight.
Yep, no toast time this week, folks. It was actually a pretty darn good show, especially again, all about the standard, the kind of trend we've been seeing.
Think about how much they literally have to stand and deliver at this pay-per-view because the pressure is on to live up to the previous takeovers, even though they don't refer to it as a takeover anymore. People expect it to be that good.
Yeah, I will say I remember I was very impressed with War Games, even though I was very sad about the outcome with Black and Gold getting written off like that. I've liked the takeover like special episodes, but this will only be the second actual like external event since War Games here, but that was back in December. So no, I agree, especially the fact that we have seen some positive momentum and we have seen some progress overall. Like in a way, that's the challenge of growth. It's like you got to kind of keep it up and deliver a good show, especially if pressure's on anyway. It's going to be the first show outside the Capitol Wrestling Center, so definitely high stakes there. Got some more comments about the show itself. Tonight, at least, we got Nashville with an 8. Well, that's the highest we've seen in a while in that sense. I think we're all usually in agreement of 7-ish by and large. Stephen with a 7, Herman with a 7 saying good show. Brian, what about a 6.9 card? But the card is shaping up for Stand Deliver. We got DJ saying he was skeptical at first about the product, but he's starting to love NXT 2.0. It's getting better and better. He actually gives it a 10 out of 10. DJ, my man, I respect it. I respect the enthusiasm. I appreciate the enthusiasm. I can't share it. I'm not at the 10 yet. I'm saying it's getting better. Okay. And that give me credit. Okay. I was sitting here like roasting the show on the daily for quite a while. And now I'm like actually saying progress. I can appreciate the progress. So, and that is good. Again, I felt actually like pretty encouraged. Like, hey, XT was pretty good tonight. That's a good thing. I like it. Got Nessa saying, I was going an 8 this week, admitting that it was better than last week's. Go for an 8 as well. So yeah, above average, pretty darn good. One more question here before I get out of here. Edison, do we think Stand Over match-wise, in-ring wise, will potentially beat WrestleMania?
No chance.
I mean, like that's tough.
No chance.
When you phrase it like that, it's like okay. My mind immediately went to you got Johnny Knoxville, Pat McAfee. He has had matches.
Jacket time.
Well, they're not even on the card. Don't even worry about that. But no, I'm sorry. Okay, you got to admit you got guys like Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, Riddle, Randy. Like pretty much, I would say like maybe like the weaker of the two cards. I don't even know which one's which at this point, but like maybe it'll be like in competition with it. And I think all these matches are going to be great, or all the ones we know so far. It's shaping up to be a very, very good show. Do I think it'll beat WrestleMania? I struggled. I don't think so. I think like peak takeover era NXT, the Black and Gold era often did that, but I don't think we're there yet. That's what I'll say. I don't think we're quite there yet. John, do you know what arena Stand Deliver is at? I do not know that.
It's at the same arena that Raw, SmackDown, Hall of Fame are in, the American Airlines Center. It's at the exact same arenas that every other show is going to be in besides WrestleMania.
There you go. So obviously we're shaping up for a big WrestleMania weekend there. John, you're going to be at every show, so be there in person for
Yeah.
that. But we still got some time, so we'll be here on Raw Mondays to talk about Raw, Tuesday to talk about NXT. Schedule permitting, and we should be good to go for this week. Robert and I'll be here on Friday to talk about Friday Night SmackDown. The Diamond Dudes and the Reddit page cover all things AEW, so make sure to check that out if you're into that, as some of us are. Otherwise, we've got a great stream of interviews constantly coming at you. Both Bill Pritchard reviews and interview Dutch Mantel. I've interviewed Matt Cardona. I've got a couple coming out that should be pretty soon. I interviewed Big Damo, formerly known as NXT star Killian Dane. A little cheap plug there. That should be coming out. Should be this week, ideally. All that stuff and more. All of it available in the archives on SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, all that good stuff. You know where to find it. So please leave a like and subscribe. Folks, we appreciate you so very much. The world remains a very scary place, so we come together to enjoy the wrestling, to just to escape all the not fun stuff. And even on, thankfully tonight the show was good, but even on the worst of toaster time, we've come together to enjoy the show and just talk about it and experience it together. And to me, that's a pretty darn special thing. So with that being said, John, here at WrestleZone, we do one thing above all others. You can tell me what that is.
Wrestling.
Enjoy wrestling. Thanks for listening, everybody.